So the moon landing was faked, to be clear.
I'm going to punch you through the screen.
The moon is a sphere, but the Earth is flat.
Make it make sense, Blake.
Never. Hey, I'm Blake.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the Space Epics episode of First Prize Films, a Far Out podcast where we each select a genre-specific movie separated by at least a decade and pit them against each other to find out which film wins the coveted title of First Prize. What does that mean for us, Dave?
So it's like teaching physics to toddlers.
Yeah.
No one understands a damn thing. Today we are traveling through wormholes with these space epics.
We are.
I made Blake watch Interstellar, a movie that really makes you beg the question, what did we just watch?
I wasn't confused because I slept through the whole thing. And I made Dave watch 1968's 2001: A Space Odyssey, a film that encouraged me to embody the phrase, "I'm sorry, Dave, I'm afraid I can't do that."
Oh, dude, I am so excited for this episode.
It's our season finale, man. We've been through all these episodes, 10 of them, if you count this one, our longest season to date.
Absolutely. We usually have 8 or 9. This season, we're like, fuck it, let's give them 10.
Yeah, and we decided to end our longest season with the longest movies known to man. We've done this before. We did this in our Mob episode, 2 really long movies. These are extraordinarily long movies.
Oh my God. Each of them is well over 2 hours, and I wish we would have thought that through.
Nope, we're dumbasses. But this has been a really fun episode. These are 2 really, really fantastic films. Why did you choose Interstellar?
Because it's literally the best movie ever made of all time. Fight me, I don't care.
Okay, so we got Dave's choice for First Prize Film. Let's a wrap. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next season.
Yep. This is legitimately my number 1 favorite movie of all time, and it's not just an incredible space epic. It's an incredible just love story, and I don't mean that in a romantic sense necessarily, because there's not really anything romantic about it. It just it's one of the many themes this movie has is love, and
it lets us know that very
quickly, yes.
very quickly and very much.
Yes.
It just pounds it into our heads.
I mean, I just think, like, you think space movies, and that's literally the first one that comes to mind. So
no, it's a great film.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I picked that one, and I gotta know why you picked 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Man, I love 2001: A Space Odyssey. I love both these movies so freaking much, and I remember the first time I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, I was like, what? And then then 30 minutes in, I was like, are we going to do something? And then by the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, my life has changed. It had such a immense impact on me, but it's good. I'm really, really excited. I had a thrilling time watching these movies, so I can't wait to talk about them with you.
Me too, especially because I'm a giant space nerd.
It's funny, I'm not really a space nerd, but I went to an observatory once, and I got to see Jupiter, and I didn't believe it. I thought it was a fake. I'm almost certain it's a fake. I don't believe in space, really, at all.
Well, this is going to be a long ride.
Yep. It's a flat Earth. Did we ever talk about that? I'm a flat Earther.
Oh, boy. Well, you guys are witnessing a downfall of a podcast in real time.
We're on the back of a turtle.
Movie 1, Interstellar, 2014.
All right, Dave, I need the synopsis for Christopher Nolan's Interstellar from 2014.
Long after the Earth turns on humans, one man and his crew are tasked with saving everyone by fleeing the planet, apparently. One by one, space unalives members of the valiant crew and one asshole, until there's only one shot left at saving everyone, making a sacrifice to the space gods in a not at all confusing turn of events.
I'm going to get the novelization of this. We'll understand it one day.
Computer says you're too tight.
I got this.
We open with our main character, Cooper, played by the quite all right Matthew McConaughey, having a nightmare about a crash in some weird jet thing, before finding out that the world at this point has only corn and dust, which sounds like the normal Midwest, but whatever.
Hey, yeah, as I say, don't insult my childhood, you fuckers.
You want to talk science? Well, just tell me that you're afraid of some ghost. No, you got to go further. Get to the how and the why, then present your conclusions. Deal?
Deal.
The next morning, we find out that Cooper's daughter, Murph, named after Murphy's Law, which is apparently not mean, as we find out, she has a ghost in her room that is apparently trying to talk to her, which we later find out through Morse code.
Yeah.
Which, it's better than my ghost who just screams in my face at the top of its lungs.
Oh, see, I thought I had a ghost that was giving me foot rubs at night, but it turns out it's the diabetes. So.
Yikes.
Yep.
We don't have time for we don't have time for your diabetes or this ghost because we have to go chase down a drone. Everyday errand stuff.
Let's get it.
Stay on it.
You almost got it. Don't stop.
Dad!
We lost it.
No, we didn't.
So after they hijack and steal a drone, Cooper has to endure a parent-teacher conference where we learn quite a bit. All right, I'm just going to blow through some of it, all right?
Yeah.
The world ran out of food.
Ooh.
That Cooper was an engineer, the whole world-ending thing kind of put a hamper on making non-corn-related stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
We also find out that the school is teaching that the moon landing was fake, which pisses Cooper off, and he gets Murph suspended over it.
Miss Hanley's here to talk about Murph.
Murph.
So Cooper's daughter's name is Murphy, right?
Yes.
I noticed nobody calls her by her first name. Even her teachers call her Murph like she's an 80-year-old man who fell asleep while fishing.
This is Cooper, go.
Coop, those combines you rebuilt went haywire.
So Cooper rigged up a bunch of his and I guess his neighbor's farm equipment to run on their own and navigate on their own.
Yeah.
But something has driven them back to Cooper's house where they just sit like they're staring at the house waiting for it to stop just sitting there and do something already.
It's like the ghost took over the combines and got bored.
Gang, let's mask up.
So later, while they're at a baseball game, a huge dust storm hits, which is one of the things that's happening with this post-human world. And this big dust storm forces them back home where I guess Murph left her bedroom window open. And there's this anomaly that has pulling the dust into series of straight lines, which can only mean one thing, that Murph's ghost wants to do dust coke.
Dude, just lining them up, ripping bars of ghost coke.
It's not a ghost. It's gravity.
Oh, well, whatever. Ghost, drugs, gravity, same thing.
It's all one tangled web in the apocalypse.
Anyway, so Cooper figures out that these lines of dust are actually coordinates laid out in binary code.
What?
Yeah.
A ghost isn't giving you coordinates?
You're fun at parties. But, from what we know about Cooper so far, naturally, he and Murph, who sneaks along, are going to go check it out. What's the worst that could happen?
Step away from the fence. Don't be afraid.
This guy just tased the shit out of her dad, and he's like, be chill, relax, relax.
Coop wakes up from this tasing that he just got from this unknown person with a light.
Yeah.
Turns out the person who tased him and who is now interrogating him is a robot, or what I thought was something straight out of a salvage yard.
It's like somebody's weird Lego project that took on sentience.
Right. But after they both threaten each other, we're then introduced to Dr. Brand, played by the lovely Anne Hathaway, who brings Cooper to be interrogated by humans this time, and in a boardroom, which is significantly more scary. So humans and the boardroom.
I feel like they were gonna start looking over his tax documents or something.
Yeah.
Don't you know who we are, Coop?
No, Professor, I don't.
We're NASA.
Same NASA you flew for.
Excuse me?
So the jet thing that we saw in the beginning, I guess, was actually a spacecraft.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it's gotta be like NASA, not actually space astronauts. There's no way they're fucking leaving this Earth.
NASA is now a shadow company because I guess people need food more than spaceships, whatever. Mm-hmm. And also that blight is the reason why wheat and okra have gone extinct and corn is next. And blight, by the way, is an actual thing. It's not just like a colloquial phrase. It's an actual disease that plants gets and then die off and go extinct.
Oh, I'm learning something from Dave the botanist.
And one of the last things we find out here is that Murph's generation is going to be the last to survive on Earth, and they're not going to starve, they're going to suffocate because of all the dust.
This makes me feel terrible.
We also find out that Christopher Nolan is not immune to plot holes.
Oh, what?
I can't tell you any more unless you agree to pilot this craft. This is the mission that you were trained for.
An hour ago, you didn't even know I was alive. I mean, you were going anyway.
But something sent you here. They chose you.
Well, who's they?
Bum, bum, bum.
Right? But also, sure. Cooper finally agrees at this point to pilot the craft after some light guilt tripping about his daughter and her, life. And the NASA nerds bring him into the loop, right? So they found a wormhole 48 years ago, and it leads to another galaxy where they can search for other habitable worlds.
Ooh.
Basically my wet dream. And they actually already sent 12 people into this wormhole. And now Cooper's mission is, I guess, to go double check that those people aren't idiots?
Well, how do they know those 12 people are alive?
Great question. They tell us that they're actually getting pings, like radio transmission pings through the wormhole of these 12 people. So yes, we do know that they're alive and that they're on these planets, and they're saying whether or not we should come there and establish that as the new home world.
Problem is gravity. How to get a viable amount of human life off the planet. Plan B, population bomb.
So once we've been introduced to my greatest nightmare, a population bomb, or as I call it, human goop, we learn that there's two plans, all right? Plan A is to get the humans off the planet to the new world.
Okay.
And plan B, spreading humans like they're pollen into the new world. By the way, Murph is not happy about this because Cooper decided, you know what? I'll fly your mission.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
When they get home, Murph just takes off running, doesn't want to talk to him. She locks herself in a room.
Yeah.
And Cooper tries to make it better. Yeah. But
Don't make me leave like this. Come on, Murph. I love you forever, and I'm coming back.
Go for main engine start. T-minus 10.
I'm not crying. You are. Shut up.
I cried multiple times in this movie.
I have seen this movie dozens of times, and I cry every time I watch this scene.
It's just so emotional. God, it's rough.
There is Mach 1.
So I guess I should probably go ahead and introduce the actual crew that's going with Coop.
Please do.
Which consists of, obviously, Cooper. Mm-hmm. He is the, captain of this crew, I guess.
Yep.
Dr. Brand, which is Professor Brand's daughter.
Yep.
Romley and Doyle. And then there's two of those scraps of metal, Tars and Case.
Yeah.
Who are, they have, personalities and shit, too. These robots... basically AI.
Tars and Case are two of my favorite characters in this movie.
And this crew is now aboard the space station Endurance, and they're bedding down for the first of many things I'm jealous of, a 2-year nap, aka Journey to the Wormhole.
You had your wet dream before. This is my recurring wet dream.
There's also this funny interaction between Coop and Dr. Brand where he tries to make small talk, and she's like, let's not, okay? She's like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And then after a little back and forth, Cooper asks Tars what's his honesty parameter, and he says 90% honesty is the best policy for emotional beings, which, smart.
Give me 70%.
Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light.
So, okay, all right, it's been 2 years,
Yeah.
and the crew is waking up from their comas, and now it's time to make their way through the wormhole, which looks so fucking cool.
It does look really cool.
But something interesting happens along the way, right?
What?
One of the extra-dimensional beings that they mentioned earlier that placed the wormhole there, whatever, is holding out their hand to Dr. Brand for a handshake, or at least I hope it's a hand.
What is that?
It's them. First handshake.
Wash your hands. That's gross.
She's in a spacesuit, Blake. So now it's time for us to learn about the 3 planets that we're going to be visiting, okay?
Yeah.
Miller's, Mann's, and Edmonds, all named after the doctors, physicists or whoever that are there currently.
Oh, Planet Man. Sounds like a setup for failure.
And 2 of these planets, Miller's and Mann's, are orbiting this giant black hole, a.k.a. Gargantua, a.k.a. Blake's mom. Sorry, Wendy, I love you. And Miller's planet is so close to Gargantua that landing on it is going to cost so much time because of time dilation, right? Because the gravity is stronger where they're at. Time is going to run slower for them than people back on Earth. So basically, every hour on Miller's planet is going to be 7 years back on Earth.
Oh, shit.
Yes. But luckily, Coop has a brilliant plan to avoid as much time dilation as possible, which is to just stay outside the time dilation zone and zip down to the planet super fast.
Just a speed run. He's like, here's the plan. Go as fast as you fucking can and pray to God nothing goes wrong.
There's nothing here. Should be right here.
And once they're on their speed run to this first planet, which is Dr. Miller's water world, the whole thing is covered in water.
Yeah.
They see that her ship and transponder and all that shit is gone. And that the mountains in the distance are in fact multiple mile high waves.
What the fuck?
They get fucking murked by one of these waves. It actually kills Doyle right as he's about to get back in the Ranger, which is the spacecraft, and sweeps them up and over this basically space height wave.
What's this gonna cost us, Brand?
Decades.
Oof.
Yeah, oof is fucking right, dude, because now they're arguing about time dilation and how the hell this happened, right? But we don't really have time to argue about this because another wave is coming right now. And so Cooper has to literally spark the engines like a Zippo with their cabin oxygen to get them the fuck out of there. And they just barely do. They just make it over top of the wave.
It's so tense.
Once they're back on the station, they find out just how long that 10 minutes on Miller's planet actually cost them.
It's 23 years, 4 months, 8 days.
Yikes.
Oh.
Just to recap, it was supposed to be every hour is 7 years. They were down there for 10 minutes, and it cost them 23 fucking years.
Was it really only 10 minutes?
They say it's like, oh, we're going to be sitting here for like an hour, but they literally are not. They're literally just sitting there arguing for like 10 minutes, and then they fucking go.
So it did seem like they were down there for like just a few minutes, but when we come back up, it actually doesn't make sense why it was 23 years.
Well, that's the thing. We actually get Dr. Brand saying, I thought I understood the theory. I thought I was prepared.
Yeah.
So obviously she was wrong, and that's what actually happened here.
Ooh, what a gut punch.
I know. It's basically as if these theories were just a blind dart throw.
I met another girl, Dad. I really think this is the one.
But now we get that famous meme scene of Cooper crying.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's watching the videos of his now adult children. I literally cry over this one, too, every time.
Oh, really?
Yes, because we find out that his son Tom got married, had a kid that died, that Grandpa Donald died, and that now Murph is as old as he was when he left.
Oh, dude, it's like walking out to like move your car so you don't get a parking ticket, coming back in and your whole family's dead.
Because we were on Miller's planet for way longer than planned, we now only have enough fuel to visit one of the remaining worlds.
I'm drawn across the universe to someone I haven't seen in a decade, who I know is probably dead. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space.
So obviously we have to decide which planet we're going to, right? Coop wants to go to Man's planet because it's actually a lot closer. And they have like a quick little vote, and yeah, we're going to Man's planet.
Yeah.
Before we do, though, we have to check on Murph and Tom and Professor Brand back on Earth.
How's that going?
Forgive me, Murph. I think there's no way to help us.
So going swimmingly, I'd say. So basically what just happened there is that Professor Brand is now on his deathbed, and he has a deathbed confession where he tells Murph that he lied to her and that Coop was never coming back. And on top of that, Tom's not dead kid is coughing a lot from the dust, or so he says. Ghost Coke.
Ghost Coke. Thank you.
Anyway, on to Dr. Man's planet.
Pray you never learn just how good it can be to see another face.
Matt Damon is in this movie. Surprise!
Oh, surprise Matt Damon.
So Dr. Man tells us about this world. The days are 67 hours long, cold, and the nights are 67 colder hours. But on the upside, we got a space heater in here.
Boom.
There is an actual upside to this planet, which is down at the surface, there's the recipe for life, which does not include alcohol and lack of protection, apparently.
But the lie, monstrous lie.
Unforgivable. He was prepared to destroy his own humanity in order to save the species.
So I guess we're back on the whole Professor Brand being an immense bag of dicks thing.
It's like he kind of made a judgment call based on the information he had available, and his call was to damn everybody on Earth to die.
And at this point, the crew on Man's planet and Murph back on Earth are both wrestling with Professor Brand's lie. Yeah. Especially after Dr. Man explains that he knew all along that Professor Brand didn't have enough information to solve the equation of gravity. And at this point, Cooper asks to go home and die with his kids, which, sure. And Murph has a feeling that she can solve the missing parts of the equation, I guess because of her childhood ghost.
We just kind of have to believe in her emotions that she's drawn back to her house and like her bookshelf. I have no answers in my childhood bedroom. I just have stains, okay? I don't want to go into further detail.
I have to tell you, Dr. Man, I'm honored to be a part of this. But once we set up base camp, secure those modules, my work's done here. I'm going home.
So the crew on Dr. Man's planet is working to get set up to finalize this is their new home, which involves a few things, all right? Cooper and Dr. Man are going to secure the sites for some new buildings. Okay. Romley is supervising as TARS, takes some parts out of Dr. Man's pile of metal spaghetti, Kip, and Brand is just moving stuff around.
Everybody has their job, and they're all set out to basically start colonizing this planet, right?
Exactly.
The truth is, I never really considered the possibility that my planet wasn't the one.
He faked all the data.
Yeah.
Speaking of bags of dicks,
Dr. Mann is trash.
Dr. Mann can't let Cooper leave with the Ranger because the crew is going to need it once they realize that this planet is a frozen shitball.
There's nothing here.
So him and Cooper wrestle until Cooper's face shield cracks and ammonia that's in the air just starts pouring in. So he's a liar and a murderer. The dating profile basically writes itself.
Cooper?
So now, Dr. Brand and Case snap into action to go save Coop while Tars and Romilly try and reboot Metal Spaghetti Kip.
Yeah.
But when they do, Romilly starts to see the actual data about how there's nothing on this planet, and then
Please don't make.
Dr. Mann set up a fucking booby trap, which I only brought up so that I can say the word booby. But also, I guess to point out that it kills Romilly, sure.
This was like really startling.
Very much so. So now Dr. Mann has got one attempted murder and one first-degree murder under his belt. He's really racking up them points.
Bring him into space court. It's going down.
Anyway, once Dr. Mann sees that his compound is exploded and hears that Dr. Brand saved Cooper, he Grand Theft Auto 5's the Ranger.
It just steals his shit.
But I'm taking command of the Endurance. This is not about my life or Cooper's life. This is about all mankind. There is a moment.
So basically, Cooper and the crew are now chasing Dr. Mann, who's in a Ranger, back to the Endurance, and Tars had disengaged the auto-dock sequence, so now Dr. Mann has to fucking eyeball it like he's a rookie at a basketball tournament.
I know, and he's been in a coma for like 5 years or some shit.
So basically, he doesn't know what he's doing, and he blows himself out of the fucking airlock and destroys part of the Endurance while he's at it.
He barely gets a sentence into his like self-righteous speech before he's just blown into the vacuum of space.
This devastation doesn't stop Coop, who is a fucking badass, in the least bit.
Oh.
He lines up the ship to the Endurance, matches the spin of the Endurance, and docks the two together and saves what's left of the Endurance.
Okay, for our next trick.
Now, they don't have enough life support to make it back to Earth because some of it like fucking escaped through the explosion. And they don't have enough fuel to make it to Edmund's planet. But Cooper is #1 space pilot in the galaxy, and they're going to use Gargantua's gravity to slingshot the Endurance so they can actually make it to Edmund's planet.
Yeah.
They will, however, have to detach a couple of ships to escape the pull of Gargantua.
Yeah.
So it looks like Plan B with the human goop it is.
Ranger 2, prepare to detach.
What? No! No!
Newton's third law. You gotta leave something behind.
You told me we had enough resources for both of us.
We agreed, Amelia. 90%.
Okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Okay, usually I get like emotional about movies, but Dave's been crying this entire movie.
I can't help it. I do have one question, though.
What?
Why is everyone a fucking liar in this movie?
It's space, Dave. There are no rules.
Yeah, whatever. So basically, of the ships that have to detach to get the Endurance over to Edmund's planet, Cooper's ship is one of them. And he sacrifices himself. And after he does that, he's just flying towards the middle of this black hole, right? He's just getting sucked in, and his Ranger is getting torn up real bad, which forces him to fucking yeet himself out in the eject mode into literal nothingness. And then he's just falling towards the center of this black hole until Cooper is now in this like tesseract thing, and which is like just it looks like a bunch of crossing lines and patterns. It's very disconcerting. And then he finally realizes that this is actually the other side of young Murph's bookcase. And in his panic, he is now trying to get her to help him from the other side, because apparently you can hear through a black hole. I don't know.
He's Murphy's Coke ghost.
He sure is Murphy's Coke ghost.
Don't let me leave, Murph! No! No!
It was you. You were my ghost.
And while this is happening, adult Murph is in her old room finally, and she's doing that thing where you have no idea what you're doing and looking around for until something finally clicks.
I do it often, but it's usually for my glasses and not for a world-saving piece of information.
It does finally click for adult Murph that her ghost was Coop all along, which is a bit paradoxical, but who cares?
They do kind of explain this. These other beings or whatever can hop around in time. It's like a mountain you could climb or a river you could swim in or something.
Yeah, and it's Tars that actually explains it, because now Cooper can hear him again.
You have worked out that you can exert a force across space-time.
Gravity to send a message. Do you have the quantum data?
Roger, I have it.
He realized that they didn't choose him, they chose Murph to save the world. And he kind of put himself here in this whole situation because I don't know, it's very confusing. But basically, he has TARS translate the data that they have gathered from going into the black hole into Morse code, and then he encodes that into the second hand of the watch that he gave her when he left Earth.
This must have taken him like 90 fucking years. Like,
he's got all the time in the world, apparently.
Absolutely wild to me.
So adult Murph realizes that the watch is acting super weird and then is able to translate the data, finally solving the equation of gravity.
Yeah.
And then the Tesseract starts to close and Cooper is now in the wormhole, but from the other side.
Yeah.
And you remember the handshake from earlier? I guess it was a hand. It was Cooper's hand.
Not his dick, to be clear.
No. Which, like, this movie with paradoxes is like Oprah when she gives shit away. You get a paradox. You get a paradox. Everybody gets a paradox.
Mr. Cooper, all right, let's take it slow, sir. Remember, you're no spring chicken anymore. You are 124 years old.
So after being spit out of the wormhole, Cooper wakes up in a hospital at one of those massive stations that NASA built on Earth that is now spinning through space. Oh, they also found TARS, whose power source is shot, but that's no problem for Coop.
Nope.
Anyway, guess who's here?
Who?
It's me, Murph. How is your ghost?
I know.
Old Lady Murph is here.
This is wild.
It's incredible. This is honestly the sweetest reunion ever, although it's very fucking weird because she's now like 90-something years old.
It's a very sweet reunion. She's like, oh, yeah, they didn't believe me. I told them I got all this stuff from you and nobody believed me.
Yeah.
And stuff. And he's like, oh, that's great. It's so nice to see you. And she's like, okay, bye now. Yeah. I have an actual family. So he fought all these like years and all these things across dimensions and wormholes and black holes and all this stuff. And he gets to finally see his daughter again. And she's like, oh, okay.
Okay, bye.
Nice to see you, dog.
Why don't you go to Brand? I'm sure she wants you.
Yeah, go hang out with Brand.
I'll tell you what, though. It does work because he and TARS sneak off and steal a Ranger, while at the same time we see Brand's camp on the new world is fully functioning already. And we roll credits.
I also like how Coop didn't want to stick around to meet his descendants either.
Nope.
He's like, nah, whatever, bye.
Bye. I gotta go.
I
do
only
space
cared about
stuff.
Murph. My other son's been dead. I don't care about him either.
Yeah.
Bye.
This movie is a fucking ride, dude. I loved every minute of it so much.
It's very good. I really, really enjoy this film.
Yes, you're welcome. It's the best movie I think I've ever seen. It's always going to be my number one movie of all time. And it's just because everything is so great.
Oh, it's an absolute behemoth of filmmaking. Like, this thing is talked about and will be talked about for a very long time because it is just that good of a film. I don't know anybody who's seen this and dislikes it.
Oh, I agree.
And if you do, you're an asshole.
Yeah, 100%. Fuck off.
Just saying.
Lose my number. That's not to say that this episode is over because 2001 A Space Odyssey is coming up and it's actually also really good.
Dude, like I said at the top, I love this movie. I love it. It gets me excited every time. I'm so stoked for it. And I'm really excited to take you through this thing.
Let's fucking do it then.
Movie 2, 2001, A Space Odyssey, 1968.
Listen, I'm a little spent, so I'm ready to stop obsessing over my movie. Let's hear you obsess over yours. Give me the synopsis for Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, 1968.
In Stanley Kubrick's epic space saga, we'll watch as man discovers a sleek IKEA headboard on the moon, fights a sentient and smarmy spaceship computer, and evolves all the way from ape to squishy space baby.
So we open to the off-putting sounds in my brain over a black screen, and I'm already thinking this episode was a bad idea for me, Dave. But this little bit is a really nice indication of what's to come. Lots of nothing and weird music, so right up my alley, dude.
Exactly, your brain in a nutshell.
But we got to get to that iconic and often parodied music cue as the sun rises over the earth. We're only a couple minutes in, and this movie is already epic as hell, dude.
Oh my god, yeah.
Do you mind if I play the end of this clip where we like see the title? I love that part.
Okay.
It hits every single time.
I really wonder if they paid Elvis royalties for this.
What are you talking about?
It's his entrance music.
Whatever. We have some stupid apes to get to.
Hey, that's the alt title to our show.
Okay, we're in a segment now called The Dawn of Man, and these aren't really apes. They're kind of like a tribe of early humans who also happen to be furries. And this tribe, they're all kind of milling about on this barren wasteland of a planet. They're picking at some grass that I don't know if prehistoric dogs existed, but if they do, they pissed on this grass. I live in Los Angeles, I would know. But later at a watering hole, another tribe of furries comes stomping around. And everybody goes ape shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, I didn't even mean to.
Oh, come on.
Now, this new ape tribe, they run off our original tribe who go off to kind of sulk a little bit, but they wake up the next morning to find something strange, Dave. Something tall, dark, and alluring. No, it's not Carl Weathers. It's an alien monolith. Can we briefly talk about the Ligeti music that's used in this?
Yes, it's fucking
incredible. So awesome and weird and haunting. Like, I could see all this music being in an A24 film about, like, psychic baristas or something, but this is 1968, dude. How weird would it have been to, like, hear this music and stuff at the time in a major motion picture?
Dude, I'm pretty sure everything so far in this movie is weirding people out in 1968.
Like, truly, because it weirds me out today. All right, we got to move on because this monolith didn't just pop in to say, hey, it has something to teach our ape friends.
Uh-oh.
It's murder. The lesson is murder. Not quite, though, to be fair. They essentially learn how to use bones as weapons so they can hunt and, like, bulk up on protein shakes or something and finally drive away the other bully tribe who had no idea they were going to be on the losing side of, like, the OG turf war, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is a bad dream I had once.
This was 2 Saturdays ago when I went out in Venice. But the sounds of this scene and all the ape men and like people stalking around and screaming at each other, just like it kind of like activates my fight or flight response. Yeah. It's so unsettling.
Yeah, you definitely have a flight response, that's for sure.
It's mostly flight. Yeah. So our original tribe, they kill one of their rivals, and one of the ape men tosses the murder weapon into the air, where we get probably the most famous match cut of all time. So we just kind of gloss over a few million years of human history, and we get to the good part where man is in space and are still committing murder with the bones of things that died millions of years ago. Dave, take that, Exxon and Shell. I expect your stock prices to plummet.
It's a fossil fuel joke.
I'm a writer. Okay, I do want to take a quick second to also appreciate how good the space effects are in this movie. We're basically treated to like a minutes-long montage of space porn with like ships and the Earth and a floating pen and docking. It's brilliant. There's so much going on here that looks amazing.
It looks so amazing that I showed this scene from 1968 to my parents.
Yeah.
Told them it was from 1968, and they were like, what?
Oh, it holds up. It holds up so much, and these are all practical effects. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I could watch this montage forever, but we have important space business to get to because it wasn't just a braggy film school montage. We're actually following the journey of Dr. Heywood Floyd as he stops over at Space Station 5 for a rest on his way to the American lunar outpost known as Clavia Space.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
We haven't seen you up here for a long time.
No, very nice to see you again.
Disregarding the fact that the space station is decorated like a minimalist British swingers club from the 60s, Dr. Heywood gets settled in and chats with another scientist who asks about rumors of something mysterious that was discovered at Clavia Space.
Yeah, it's a lot of very strange conversation type meeting party thing with him and some people just sitting in a fucking hallway talking about something that's very important that they probably shouldn't be talking about in the middle of a hallway.
Well, it's just that for the past 2 weeks, some extremely odd things have been happening at Clavius.
2 days ago, one of our rocket buses was denied permission for emergency landing at Clavius.
Well, that does sound odd.
Basically, no one has been able to contact Clavia Space for the past 2 weeks, which means Verizon better send a tech out ASAP. I'm sick of this shit. But just as I'm starting to think Dr. Heywood is as ill-informed as the non-fictional government, the scientist just asks straight up.
We have had some very reliable intelligence reports that quite a serious epidemic has broken out at Clavius. Something apparently of an unknown origin.
Sorry, Dr. Smithlow, but I'm really not at liberty to discuss this.
That's right. Haywood is shutting this shit down, and he's adding another layer of mystery to this film. Mainly, what the fuck is going on and what are we doing?
That's the main mystery, and I ask that question a lot.
It's true, but we should just get to Clavia Space. We got to get some answers.
All right, let's do it.
Congratulations on your discovery, which may well prove to be among the most significant in the history of science. However, I accept the need for absolute secrecy in this, and I hope you will too.
After Kubrick continues flexing on us with another gorgeous montage of space flight and zero-gravity toilets, Haywood consults a panel of people on the moon and politely demands their secrecy about the discovery. What do you think this is, Dave?
That space poop is getting flung at Earth?
Maybe. I'm just hoping it's not more furries.
Oh, God. Me too, actually.
They're going to hog up all the material I need for my non-sexual fur-based social suit. It's not weird or full of... But here's what they really found on the moon. It's another monolith.
Oh.
I expected more excitement from you.
I would be more excited, except for the fact that they somehow know that it was buried 4 million years ago, in spite of having done no tests on it.
They did do tests. They've been doing tests. They already dug it out, Dave.
Because you dug it up doesn't mean you've tested it.
They tested it. They were talking about tests or something. I don't know. It was a long movie. But as soon as the sun hits it, it squeals out a high-pitched frequency, which I will not play on the show because I like our listeners and it gives me a headache. But considering when the ape guys saw this monolith on Earth millions of years ago, they discovered murder. So I assume these guys are going to discover WWE wrestling or something.
We're going backwards.
I'm just keeping all options open. And so is this movie, actually, because after everyone's ears bleed, I assume, we're moving on to 18 months later.
Earlier this afternoon, the World Tonight recorded an interview with the crew of Discovery at a distance of 80 million miles from Earth.
Now we're in a sperm-shaped American spacecraft known as Discovery 1. It's traveling towards Jupiter with our two pilots, Dr. Dave Bowman and Dr. Frank Poole. But these two men aren't the only ones on board the Discovery. We also have 3 more scientists in suspended animation, like a cryosleep kind of thing, you know?
Right.
As well as the sassiest know-it-all precursor to Siri known as HAL 9000.
Yes.
It's a talking computer that helps automate the Discovery 1 and keep everybody alive inside of it.
Yes, it's very unsettling.
Yeah.
The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all foolproof and incapable of error.
And fucking modest to boot. Right. Jesus.
Weird flex, but okay.
HAL is essentially this like creepy little red light in a camera, and it makes me feel gross. I don't know how to explain it. Just like the way it's shot.
I feel like it's watching me.
But HAL has detected a problem on the ship.
Uh-oh.
I've just picked up a fault in the AE35 unit. It's going to go 100% failure within 72 hours.
It's the who, what now? Did the what now?
So it's basically an antenna control device. It's failing.
Okay.
So Dr. Dave and Frank take a pod out to retrieve it, but they don't find anything wrong with it, which is strange because HAL, as previously established, is never wrong.
Never.
How's that feel, HAL? I know you watch me in the shower.
Preliminary findings indicate that your onboard 90000 computer is in error predicting the fault.
I hope the two of you are not concerned about this.
Back at Mission Control, they test the antenna unit and confirm that HAL is in error about his prediction. Then HAL tells Dave and Frank that he didn't mess up, it was human error.
Like, you're clearly crazy, and now I don't know what to do with myself.
So conflict is approaching, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Dave and Frank hop into a pod where HAL can't hear them, you know, and they come to a bleak conclusion that is bleak for HAL.
There isn't a single aspect of ship operations that's not under his control. If he were proven to be malfunctioning, I wouldn't see how we'd have any choice but disconnection.
I'm afraid I agree with you.
It's a coup!
Oh, no! Mutiny?
Oh, maybe that. Yeah, mutiny is probably the best word for that, actually. Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
King of the Mutineers.
Space pirate.
Dr. Dave and Frank are worried about how HAL's going to feel about this disconnection, rightfully so, once he finds out. But proving my theory of HAL watching me in the shower, we see from his perspective that HAL can't hear them, but he's reading their lips through the pod window.
Absolutely bonkers.
It's so scary. It's shot kind of like a horror movie.
It totally
you know,
is.
We see it like the camera panning over and he's like reading their lips. I love it so much.
It's incredible.
And you know what else I love about this movie?
What?
We get an intermission.
We do. It was nice.
Also, I want to point out that Interstellar is 20 minutes longer and does not have an intermission. I'm just saying.
Could have been longer for me. Let's go.
We come back from intermission with a bang, Dave.
Well,
it's a silent bang,
okay.
Space
Right.
and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when Frank is outside of the ship trying to replace that antenna unit,
yes,
Hal takes control of the pod and cuts him loose from his tether, and we see him through one of the cameras like whizzing past the ship like There's no sound, but that's what played in my head.
Yeah, it's definitely what it would have sounded like had there been sound. And I can't believe Hal just fucking murdered that guy.
Not only does it look good, but it is like, it's frightening.
And Hal has cut off his oxygen, so he's literally suffocating while floating towards nothing.
One of my nightmares. Floating.
oh yeah, mine was the suffocating, but sure.
Do you have a positive track on him?
Yes, I have a good track.
Do you know what happened?
I'm sorry, Dave. I don't have enough information.
So Dr. Dave hops into another pod to go after free-floating Frank, his bar name, I assume. But when Dave leaves, Hal strikes again.
Oh, God, what now?
He's so butthurt about getting disconnected that he kills the other 3 members in cryosleep.
Oh, my God, quadruple murder.
This goes from PBS Cosmos documentary to Terminator very fast.
Like light speed.
Near the speed of light, Dave.
Sorry.
Anyway, Dave tries to return to the ship with Frank's dead-ass body on the pod's gravity claws, but Hal has given him a little bit of pushback.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
Hal is going full, I am the captain now.
Bro.
So Dave shoots Frank's corpse into the ether and manually docks with the Discovery by exposing himself to the vacuum of space, which you can in fact survive, but Dave does succeed and he gets back inside of the ship.
Just what do you think you're doing, Dave?
Now Dr. Dave is a man scorned, and he's going right for Hal's throat, or his data center, whatever the appropriate metaphor is. Dave is going to disconnect Hal once and for all, and I also like how the camera work up until this point was like pretty static and unmoving, just kind of sits there and lets things happen. But now we're handheld, and we're like following Dave through the ship, and it's like, oh, it like makes me anxious.
Yeah, it's very well shot. It definitely like adds to the whole thing.
And Hal, he moves pretty quickly into the bargaining phase of grief.
I know everything hasn't been quite right with me, but I can assure you now, very confidently, that it's going to be all right again. I feel much better now.
Too late, Hal! You just tried to murder Dave! He's coming for your ass!
Yeah, you're fucked, dude. You already killed Frank, you killed everybody else. So Dave, he gets into Hal's giant processing core and starts disconnecting his circuits.
Dave, stop. Stop, will you?
Okay, I don't know if this is taboo or not, but I actually kind of feel sad hearing Hal disconnected.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it just is.
It is sad because clearly, Hal has some kind of mental instability and,
But like this part especially gets me.
Yeah.
Stop, Dave. I'm afraid. I can feel it.
Daisy.
I'm oddly emotional.
Oh my God. It's very, to me, it's more unsettling, but I do understand why you, psychopath, are like empathetic towards Hal in this moment.
It really gets me. It like makes me really sad, which is exactly how the robots take us over, by the way. The humanity is our flaw. I want to be clear.
100%.
I'm the first one to die in the robot apocalypse.
Oh, for sure.
But once Hal is turned into a ship-sized paperweight, a pre-recorded message from Dr. Haywood plays, and it tells Dr. Dave what their mission actually is.
This is a pre-recorded briefing, in which for security reasons has been known on board during the mission.
Oh.
So 18 months ago, they tracked that high-frequency radio signal from the monolith back to Jupiter, and the Discovery crew is there to investigate it. It's essentially the first evidence of intelligent life outside of the planet Earth.
Oh, wow.
Except for a single, very powerful radio emission aimed at Jupiter, the 4-million-year-old black monolith has remained completely inert.
Big stuff!
Literal big stuff.
It's fucking Jupiter. It's huge. But essentially, the monoliths are like radio transmitters and receivers. They don't really dive into it much in the movie, but one of the radio signals was decoded, and it says in pretty clear English to send nudes. Nudes, of course, being spelled with 2 zeros.
Wait, hang on. What?
I complied. So now we move on to the final segment of the film called Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite, which is what I offered to show ladies in college to get them back to my dorm.
Oh.
It never worked. I'm a virgin.
Nothing to do with your furry suit, I'm sure.
I get it, dry clean sometimes.
Yikes.
I don't. We've arrived at Jupiter, where another monolith orbits the planet along with our interplanetary sperm ship, the Discovery. Now, Dave leaves the ship in a pod to investigate, where he's pulled directly into my favorite trip sequence in all of cinema.
How did he get into this trip sequence? What did he hit the monolith? Did he touch the monolith? What the fuck happened?
The other times watching it, I'm like, oh, like, we see Jupiter, and then all of a sudden it's Dave's like, oh! The combination of music and the shaky-ass camera showing Dave and, like, the slit-scan photography, it's so alarming and unsettling and strangely enticing. I don't know how to describe it.
I was wondering if this is what happens when you take shrooms.
No, thank God, first off. But, I don't know. Nothing's off the table when you do psychedelics.
Listen,
maybe next time.
I don't know. I'm a good boy.
Bullshit.
Shut your mouth.
So Dave comes down from his high to find that the pod is now inside a fancy, like, looking room where the floor is lights.
What?
On top of this, though, Dave is outside of the pod in a spacesuit looking back at himself.
What? How did this... What's going on?
Throughout this sequence, it's like Dave's his own ghost as he witnesses himself become older and older. It's so wild. I literally have goosebumps talking about it. It's really frightening.
It's entirely terrifying, and I still have no idea what the fuck is happening.
Oh, it's so weird. I have my theories. But finally, Dave is an old man lying on this bed, and that's when a visitor arrives to wish him farewell. His childhood friend, the Black Monolith. So Dave reaches out to it, and this happens. Dave turns into a bubble baby. He's literally a fetus in a bubble on the bed.
Did we just have a reverse abortion?
I can't believe you just said that.
Here's my theory on what actually happens here, Blake.
Okay.
Whoever these beings are that are fucking with him, and not on purpose fucking with him, they're like, okay, we've got what we needed. Let's go ahead and turn back the dial so he's back to his own age. Did you turn it back to 0?
My finger slipped, man. I'm so sorry.
Oh, fuck.
That was...
what do we do?
That was a big fuck up, huh?
What do we do?
Shoot him to space. Shoot him to space. Now the bubble baby floats in space, witnessing the Earth from above, denoting the next evolution of life, where everyone turns into a bubble baby and we float off into space. And hopefully we have our own trips. I don't know. I don't really know what happens, but we roll credits.
I have one real question left.
Yes, sir.
What the fuck just happened? Is that really how it ends? Just a bubble baby just floating in space, and it just like, movie over. And you are going to sit there with a straight face and tell me it makes sense?
I feel like it makes sense for me. I'm not saying that what I think of this movie is the ultimate answer, because there is no answer. Kubrick has never said... I mean, he's dead now, but he never said in his life what this movie exactly is about or his intentions behind it. So I don't know. All the pieces connect for me, and I think it's so compelling and horrifying, and it just turns me in so many directions, and I cannot stop thinking about it every time I watch it for like a week or two.
I actually just had a theory pop into my head about the end.
What's that?
So I think as Dave gets back into the ship to exact revenge on Hal is... panicking, and he sabotages that last remaining pod, and Dave going down this acid trip and then this bigger acid trip while on shrooms. I think that's him losing oxygen in the ship and fucking dying. That's my theory. I don't know.
How pedestrian of you.
It's not my theory. It's just the one that popped into my head.
Okay, got it. I mean, whatever. I'm not here to say that it's wrong. Other people can tell you it's wrong. I'm just going to smile and nod at you. No, I think it's whatever. I think you can have so many interpretations of this, like on the allegorical level as well as the literal level, because when they cut to the match cut, from the bone to the space station, it's not a space station. It's actually a nuclear satellite over Earth. So it's thematic, man. I don't know. There's, like I said, there's so much, and I'm just going to talk in circles about it, but I love this movie.
It's honestly, I really like this movie a lot too, in spite of how confused I am at the end and still unsure of what the fuck I watch.
It's a total art movie, dude. What a bold ass movie, because Kubrick made this after he made Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, yes.
and this is his next film, and audiences at the time were also divided. Rather, I should say critics at the time were divided. Lots of people on drugs actually saw this movie, and that's not a joke, because they realized that people were under the influence and going to see this movie, so they changed the poster to say 2001: A Space Odyssey, and at the bottom, The Ultimate Trip. And I'm like, hey, smart marketing.
Wonderful marketing. But I think we should just hop into the Thunderdome and battle it out.
Let me see if I can Benjamin Button my ass back to birth and maybe not continue on this journey.
Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Reverse abortions for everybody.
Progress, baby.
Movie versus movie. Welcome to the Thunderdome. This place fucking rules.
We're back in the Thunderdome, Dave, for the final time this season. And I feel like I've lost touch with reality. Might be the acid. But before we watch these movies, Dave, you and we decided on 5 things that we both agree make a good genre movie. In this case, space epics.
Yes.
So let's go through them.
Let's do it.
Number 1, we need a plot with world-changing consequences.
Nothing will be the same after this.
Number 2, we need a relatable protagonist story.
I might not do it, but I do get it.
Number 3, we need awe-inspiring visual effects.
Holy shit, I can't look away.
Number 4, we need massive themes.
This feels bigger than it looks.
And number 5, we need a mind-bending finale.
Hold on one second. My brain is broken.
Error 404, brain not found.
Exactly. We're going to go ahead and pop right off with plot with world-changing consequences.
Let's do it.
Interstellar has one of the most world-changing consequences in any movie, let alone a space epic, okay? Because if Coop and Brand don't succeed, the entire human race dies, frozen human goop aside. They have to not only find a new planet, but to find a way to get the entire species there. It's literally survival of the species.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Interstellar is big. It is literally the survival of everything. It doesn't get much bigger than that.
It's exactly
But 2001's plot is a bit hard to nail down precisely. But the through line is that there's an alien monolith that has informed humanity throughout the ages, spurring our evolution from ape men to swole-ass murder ape men who go to space. From there, though, man fights against the computer uprising to transcend to the next evolutionary stage, floating alien bubble babies. Essentially, the world and humanity will never be the same again. Your people are dying. They're going to just die. My people are evolving to just next level, dude. We're leveling up. Nothing is ever going to be the same.
I feel that was a massive stretch for you. And also...
Really? I don't at all, because I think that's exactly what the movie's trying to tell us. I think that's exactly what it is.
Let's say that it is. It's still implicit. And Interstellar's is implicit.
Explicit.
Oh, okay. Explicit. It literally shows you, hey, this is the consequences. And yours is like, hey, this is an acid trip. Take it.
Fuck off, because Christopher Nolan spoon feeds the audience, hey, this is what's going to happen. Whereas Kubrick trusts his audience to be like, hey, the natural implications of these things are huge. It's fine. I'm not hating on Interstellar, but I just think the world-changing consequences in 2001 are enormous. And existential to the next degree.
Regardless, it feels very implicit, and it just doesn't feel very relatable.
Well, okay, we can move on, though, because we're talking about relatable protagonist story next. This is where 2001 is limited. There's no real human story to latch onto in 2001 necessarily, which I know is by design, but it does allow us as an audience to take in all the wonder and high-level themes of all this stuff and see it from an outside perspective. And honestly, to me, the most human and relatable character in this film is the HAL 9000. It's creepy, and it follows you around and sad when you reject it, and I'm not going to say why that's relatable to me, but it is.
Definitely very relatable. Sorry. You're right, though. It's very limited. And I would say that the most relatable thing is the being flawed part of Hal. That's it.
Yeah.
But if we're talking Interstellar, we're talking about Cooper, Cooper.
Cooperstein.
Sure. If you take away being a space pilot, astronaut, I don't know, whatever, out of the equation, Cooper's story is incredibly relatable.
Yeah.
He is literally going on a near suicide mission to save the lives of not only his children, but literally everyone else on the planet. Okay, maybe that's not that relatable.
And he turns into a ghost that does cocaine. I relate.
It's true. But you know what is relatable, actually, is the love that you have for your family, okay? All he wants to do is get back to his kids as soon as possible while being burdened with saving the entire human race. Now, I don't get that because I don't have kids nor do I want them, but I know a lot of people in the world do. So it is a relatable protagonist story.
I do have to say, though, all these stories are told in an interesting way. Both these movies have really, really incredible visuals.
They really do, which, let's just go ahead and talk about it, awe-inspiring visual effects. So not only does Interstellar have arguably the most incredible visual effects in a movie ever, but they literally predicted what a black hole looks like. This is not a joke or hyperbole. Christopher Nolan got actual physicists to put numbers into this AI type program to generate what a black hole would look like, and they fucking nailed it.
They did.
And we know this because we actually got a real picture of a black hole, granted blurry, and it looks fucking spot on, right? Not to mention the other visuals in this movie. The wormhole, the space and stars around them, the planets they're on. I mean, my God, everything in this movie is the most awe-inspiring.
It is very awe-inspiring. I'll give you that. It's great. It looks so good. It holds up, and I know it will continue to hold up. But if there's one thing I see people still diving into about 2001, it is the visual effects, dude. 2001 revels in the effects and cinematography that undeniably also still hold up today. It blows me away every single time I watch this movie, how amazing it still looks. I mean, all the effects are practical. Like, so much stuff was invented for this movie. We have flying sperm ships, we have zero gravity toilets, we got docking, we got a trip sequence, and it hits every time. There are not enough great things I can say about the visuals of this film. It's just so inspiring and so good, and I just come back to it often when I think of great visual effects films.
Well, it's crazy because both of these films kind of pioneered something in one way, shape, or another.
It's true. They're great competitors.
2001: A Space Odyssey literally pioneered some of the practical effects uses and whatever.
Yeah.
And Interstellar literally showed us what a black hole looks like.
Yeah.
Almost perfectly.
Kip Thorne really pulled a lot of weight on the consulting of this film to make a lot of this stuff happen. And
yes,
it shows, man. It really shows.
All the consulting that they had on this movie was huge.
It's true. And honestly, the enormity of all these things plays perfectly into our next point. We're talking about massive themes.
Yes.
2001 isn't a film that you can enjoy and then think about the themes later. This film forces you to think about them as you experience the movie. It's about so many things, anything and everything, but it tackles humanity and where we're going, where we've been. You can look at it optimistically or pessimistically. It's a kind of a blank canvas to project your hopes and fears onto, which is what makes it such a huge topic of discussion over 50 years later. Like, what does it all mean? There's no definitive answers. Just like life, you have to kind of figure out and make the meaning of it for yourself.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment there. But with Interstellar, there are so many themes. And I know what you're going to say, so I'm going to Eminem this shit and preemptively cut you off. So basically, yes, all of these themes are in your face. And it's because the majority of humans are not physicists, let alone space nuts. So all of these really complex things kind of almost makes it impossible to really focus on anything else. So he's kind of like, also, here's this stuff, which is time, love/human connection, isolation/loneliness, sacrifice, the capacity for evil. The list is endless. But the biggest one, and the one they basically call out in the dialogue, is love/human connection. Brand even says it. Love is the only thing that we know of that can transcend time and space, which we know because, think about it, we love people that are not in the room, that are not even alive. It's a brilliant theme.
True, but also it undercuts its theme of love is the only thing that can transcend time and space, because Cooper literally transcends time and space.
Because of love.
Fuck off. Whatever.
Gotcha.
To be very clear, I am fine with those themes.
Yes.
In Interstellar. But I think the bigger theme stuff does lie with 2001.
Listen, I don't think Interstellar's themes are small by any means. They are huge. Everyone on the planet fucking has something to do with one of these themes.
Now, I didn't call them small, to be clear. I called them a little more focused, a little more human, as opposed to the massive implications of space and human evolution.
Okay. Feels a little backpedaling, but it's fine. I'll let it
go. Whatever. We're going to go back and forth on this forever, and we're never going to agree on literally any of this stuff. No. I knew this was going to be a bit contentious, but my brain is broken, and I think we can move on to the ends of these movies.
It's very apt. They're mind-breaking or mind-bending finales. Interstellar's finale is so mind-bending, I have trouble explaining it, and I've seen this movie like 15 fucking times. So Cooper and Tars sacrifice themselves so Brand can succeed by yeeting themselves into a fucking black hole. And instead of being spaghettified, they end up in a weird time continuum where Cooper is literally becoming the thing that sent him there in the first place. It's so mind-bending, it's a goddamn paradox. And then somehow, the black hole spits him out by Jupiter. Of course, they then try to shoehorn in a love story with Brand and Cooper in the last 2 minutes, but whatever. The entire last half hour of this movie is mind-bending.
I remember when I saw it for the first time, I was like so thrilled. It was just so great. It's a perfect Christopher Nolan ending, and I love it. I thought you would kind of push a little more for the spaghettification of Cooper since you're Italian, but we'll move past it. Because 2001 has one of my favorite endings of all time in cinema, period.
Yeah.
It's so weird with Dave like tripping and then see himself as he ages and dies in this weird room, only to be spit back out into the heavens over Earth. On top of it, the cinematography is so jarring and surreal. Mm-hmm. It's like Dave was put in a museum to live out his life in a velvet leisure robe or whatever. Lights coming from the floor. It's just startling and so stark. Nothing is explicitly explained here, and it leaves you thinking for hours and days about what it means. It's so surreal and it's so ambiguous, and it just breaks me every time. I have a new explanation for this movie every time I see it, and I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, it's definitely got a bunch of hidden stuff in it that the more you watch it, the more you can find.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's two very different kinds of endings.
Yes.
Interstellar is more of a narratively driven film.
Yes.
Whereas 2001 is kind of more of a think piece.
Yes.
Two different approaches, but pretty similar outcomes in the way that both of these films have definitely left an impact on my life.
But yeah, both of these films have definitely made impact on my life too. Obviously, Interstellar.
Sure.
But I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey in the 4th grade. So
no shit.
Yes. And to be clear, I didn't see this movie whilst attending the 4th grade. I saw it in my 4th grade class.
They showed this to you in school?
Yes. In class. I
love that.
I think it was like a substitute teacher was just like put on a movie. And she just put on 2001: A Space Odyssey.
She hung over his shit.
Oh, probably.
Like, what's long as hell and can maybe keep these kids quiet for a while?
Oh, 100%. And it worked too, because we were all like,
what is going on?
Listen, we can sit here and talk about these movies all day long, but I think we have to get to the finish line. We have to.
We do, man. I still don't know what I'm going to choose.
I would say the same, but I'd be lying. Anyway, let's do it.
We know. We know.
Hey, look. We did it. It's the finish line. We're at the finish line. Can I go home yet? All right.
Okie dokie, Dave.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So tell us why you think Interstellar is the better epic space movie.
Don't mind if I do. To be clear, I think 2001: A Space Odyssey is a really, really fantastic movie. It's a very fantastic art movie. It does make you really think. It makes you think so hard that you stop thinking. Yeah. It's insane how incredible this movie is. It's held up over the last 54, 55 years, and it will continue to hold up long after we have stopped being on a fucking podcast about movies. I will say that the reason why I'm picking Interstellar over a 2001: A Space Odyssey is not because it's my favorite movie. I literally, that's not fair for me to just do.
Right.
It's because in 2001: A Space Odyssey, you get all these massive themes, like you said, all this brain thinky stuff, but most of it happens inside of a spaceship. Whereas in Interstellar, almost all of it is happening in space, on a different planet, on multiple different planets, wormholes, all kinds of stuff that actually happen out in space. I think 2001: A Space Odyssey is a movie that takes place in space. Interstellar is a space movie.
I understand that. I think it's short-sighted.
Well, because
you see more space. You see other worlds and stuff. It's 2014. We have the technology.
Right.
We can do it.
It's true.
For sure.
And
I understand
it's true.
that.
And that's why Interstellar is my pick for first prize film for space epics, because we are talking about space epics, not just epics.
Epic space movies. Absolutely. And here's the thing. I love 2001: A Space Odyssey so much. It's one of my favorite films. But also Interstellar. Oh, God. Like I said, I've seen it a ton of times, and I don't really rewatch a ton of movies. But these two movies, I can rewatch endlessly and find enjoyment out of them every time. 2001 is very detached, but huge. Massive film. And it's stuck with me for so long. And Interstellar... You know I'm a sucker. I'm a crybaby.
Yes.
I love it. And it gets me every time. Even though I hear Anne Hathaway saying, love is the only thing, I'm like, shut up. I know.
Yes.
But, you know, there's a lot of things, and it really has me twisting and turning on which one I think is the better epic space movie. And I think when it comes down to it, for me, 2001 is more than a movie. 2001 is like this immersive experience.
Yes.
That I think you have to live. Like, it's not a thing you can just watch. You have to live in this movie. It demands your attention, and it demands your respect for not only the craft of filmmaking, but your respect for life, your respect for us on this planet and what it means to be this. It just brings up so many existential questions for me that I think makes it so epic. And again, Interstellar brings up a lot for me, but the things that I take away mostly from it aren't those big questions. It's just, hey, be with your loved ones. That's what I really get out of this movie, which is really good and really endearing. But 2001 just is the big movie. I get all those existential nightmares after watching this thing. So my choice for first prize film for this episode for Space Epics has to be 2001: A Space Odyssey.
And here's where we get our divorce, you and I. Forever.
I already drafted the papers, motherfucker.
Great,
it's
cool.
fine.
Super duper. Warned you in advance.
I'm taking half of your pension. Eat shit.
Okay. Well, obviously, we have to do a tiebreaker.
A tiebreaker.
But
yes,
before we do, I'm like one last ditch effort here.
Okay, sell me.
After watching each movie, you think about different things. After watching 2001, do you honestly think about anything space related once it's over?
Yes, because with Interstellar, I think of like family and connecting, because I feel like it's a drama, it's a family drama played out in space. But with 2001, I think of nothing but space and what it means to be alive on a small little blue dot hurling around in the vacuum of space. It makes me feel tiny. Oh, it's just so existentially awful and sad and weird, but also optimistic. I don't know, it makes me feel so many things, but it's all the big things, and it has me thinking of space the whole time. Even in the monkey segment in the beginning, I'm thinking of space, baby.
I was going to say, that's almost a disqualifier right there. The first 20 minutes of this movie is about apes on planet Earth.
It's all context, baby.
Yeah, but see, I guess the reason I brought that up is because when you get done watching Interstellar, like once you get done thinking about the go give your family a hug, you think about all of this stuff, like adventure and space travel, whereas with 2001... yeah, you think about space and being tiny, but that's it. You think about how crazy this movie is and all of these big themes, but really, honestly, space is not a big part of it. Even when in your description, you think it makes you feel small. Okay, but that's not thinking about space particularly.
Well, I'm saying it makes me feel that as I think about space. That's my point. And like, I understand. I just don't get that out of Interstellar. For me, it's a family drama. The impression I get when I leave this movie is all about the human aspects of everything, which I think is the entire point of this movie. Whereas I think 2001 is more so about the enormity and the big questions.
I just don't think that you can say that a movie who literally predicted what a black hole looks like is not the better space movie.
I'm going to tell it to you. Well, I'm not saying it's a bad one. I think it's the more epic space movie.
Well, you watched it wrong. Let's go ahead and get our tiebreaker.
This is the captain. Red alert. Red alert.
Welcome to the tiebreaker.
All right, I'm going to call my friend Brian, who is a lifelong sci-fi fan. So I guarantee he's seen these movies, and I guarantee he has an opinion. So.
Great.
Hello.
Yo. So we are recording the podcast, and we hit an impasse here. We're talking about epic space movies, Interstellar versus 2001: A Space Odyssey. I need to know which one is the more epic space movie.
That is an extremely difficult question.
Truly.
Both movies are quite incredible in my book. In the end, I think being a music person, having been in the music industry for so long, I really enjoyed music in both instances. I love how Interstellar used the music to overpower the senses. It really gave a grand scale to the visuals. At first I didn't like it, but it really grew on me, and I appreciate what Hans Zimmer did.
Yeah, so good. It's so good.
But in the end, the music from 2001 is mind-blowing. At the age of 16, I saw that movie and named my vehicle Zara after thus spoke Zarathustra, the opening musical sequence from the movie. So for music and audio reasons alone, I think 2001 takes the cake.
Wow. Wow.
Nope.
This was a tough one for both of us because, again, both great movies with both great scores. So thank you, sir. You are our deciding factor. We appreciate you.
I don't.
Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, you should be.
Awesome. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. Bye. Whoa. I did not know where that was going.
No.
As soon as he started, I was like, yep. It's going to Interstellar.
I'm not usually pouty. But I am offended.
Well,
I am offended so hard.
Yeah.
You guys
both
watched these movies wrong.
We're all wrong. Dave is right.
Everybody's wrong. I'm right. You're talking about this is an epic theme movie. He's like, that's an epic music movie. Interstellar's the space movie, you dillheads!
We're all wrong. I'm wrong often. I know it.
I hate you.
I wouldn't even say I'm necessarily right in this, but it is the choice for first prize film, the winner of our Space Epics episode, and the winner of our season finale episode. I'm not going to lie, this was a big conclusion. This was a bit contentious. I'm not going to lie to you. I like both these movies a lot, but I disagree with you a lot about them.
Yeah, it's true. And we usually joke that we're not going to speak for a few months. That's actually going to happen now. So
yeah, we're actually not going to speak.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Also,
cool.
Brian is dead to me. So are you. And this has been hell. And glad it's over.
It's a big hail Satan from me. I'll see you next season.
Hey, First Prize listeners, thanks for tuning into Season 3 of our ridiculous podcast. Thanks for laughing along with us and at us. We'll be back in a few months with more movies and even more laughs in Season 4.
Yep, but we do this for free because our existence is meaningless in the grand scheme of the universe. But if you'd like to support us, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts or come hang out on Twitch. We stream every week, especially in the off-season, talking about movies, having some laughs, and chatting with all of you. We even do some movie nights.
It's true, we do some movie nights, but we also are going to have a couple of offshoot episodes we call bonus episodes.
Oh, I love our bonus episodes.
Yes.
We break our rules often. For this, we do films that are a little closer together than 10 years. So our last bonus episodes, we did like the Mighty Ducks movies, we did romance movies, we did The Notebook and A Walk to Remember.
That's true.
We also did Christmas movies,
we did,
right?
Yeah, because it was during a Christmas break, so that was fun.
Yeah, we talked about Home Alone and Home Alone 2, so lots of fun stuff.
Also, if you want to check out our socials, it's at First Prize Pod on all platforms, and that includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on TikTok and YouTube as well. Also, don't forget to check out our website. It's firstprizefilms.com.
Thank you so much for a wonderful season. We appreciate all you, and come say hey.
You know, we've watched hundreds of movies for this show, and I apparently still haven't seen a goddamn thing. So, I guess we got some more work to do.
Oh, so much work to do.
See ya.
Bye.
What's Cooper's first name? Did we ever find out?
It's Coop Cooper.
No, it's not.
Cooper Coopenstein.
It's Coop Cooper. I literally bought that for a second, you fucking dickhead.